Hello! It's me, Kyle. This is Give Pause Hobby. I am once again in the element, once again at this lovely park on my way to school. I'm about to go for a run, but the mood of this morning struck me as I was driving in. Said, you know, I still need to record this little talk, and given that this week the exercise in question is all about the lizard cult, the overcast, kind of hazy, misty weather just sort of seemed appropriate. So the title Heard, Seen, and Felt is a reference to what I would imagine kind of needs to take place to get these other very set in their ways factions to join the lizard cult. And it's not just lip service. It's not just saying, hey, we've got a great group of friends and awesome punch. It's also not just something that's sort of flashy. You know, just because they might know some magic doesn't mean the other animals are just going to come flock to their side. The last part, and felt, is a reference that I don't really, it's sort of a gray area. I don't know if there are a bunch of other animals running around in like crude lizard masks, or if we are really to assume that when they convert to the lizard cult, they are literally converted to lizards. In any way, it's this gray area that part of the reasons why I really enjoy the concept of the lizard cult is that we don't really know. And so, you know, it needs to carry weight with the wording. It needs to be flashy. It needs to be showy and show the other factions that they're not just, you know, making stuff up. And the last part, it might need to actually do some of the lifting, convert some of the other animals to you know, turn a building into a garden. You know, so there's kind of this really interesting gray area that I like a lot. So the bulk of the music is pulled from another movement from Winds, the work for unaccompanied trumpet that I wrote a few years back. This one is the Under the Harvest Moon. This is the autumn movement. And what I was envisioning in that work is this kind of picking up of gusts of wind, kind of swirling around with leaves and just you know, the part of fall that I think most of us love it for. And I sort of repurposed that into I made a new introduction and I made a new closing, and just bookended this one section that is a steady like accumulation of just like this power, this like energy, and just kind of like dives right into it from very kind of humble beginnings, and then at the climax of it just sort of cuts it off. In the original movement there was a lot more. It went into this like long drawn out third section, but I just wanted to capture, this is one of my favorite moments of Winds, this like the center of this movement here, and I think it's a lot of fun. The name, or rather the performance instructions of In an Ever Widening Gyre is a tip of the hat to a couple of my favorite poems that I have. I don't read a ton of poetry, so I'm sure there's lots more out there that use this word, but gyre I just really like. So the first one that comes to mind doesn't really apply here, but anytime I can talk about Jabberwocky, I do. So 'twas brillig in the slithy toves, did gyre and gimble in the wade. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome raths outgrabe. So gyre is actually a word, so is gimble, but outgrabe I don't believe is. But then the other is William Butler Yeats, The Second Coming. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer, things fall apart, the center cannot hold. So the poem goes on to lots of other things. I'm not saying the whole thing is a one-to-one analog to the lizard cult. For me, gyre in that is just a little bit of a touchstone. In my mind, I was imagining this persistent but mostly ineffective beginning kind of picks up steam as it goes on, and this is kind of the cult, first of all, just saying like, hey, you should join us. Second of all, be like, hey, you should watch what I'm doing. And like at the height of the energy of this exercise, it's like, okay, you joined us because I turned you into a lizard. or I like, you know, magicked the building you just spent so long building into a garden, and seems pretty sick, so now you should join us. Again, gray area, don't exactly know how it happens, but it's fun to think about. So from a trumpet perspective, anytime there is like a slow speed up, you know, like a long form accelerando is good for anybody. That's not just like a trumpet thing. It's just good to be able to not, same thing with going from soft to loud dynamics or the reverse, anything that like travels the spectrum in a slow manner is great, because we're so used to doing things quicker, just suddenly going faster, suddenly getting softer, whatever it may be. And so this is a great opportunity to every measure, every beat, to be just that much faster than before. So it comes across in this like really smooth increase in speed from beginning to end. But the other reason it's great for trumpet is once it kicks off into what we could refer to as a flow study, where there's lots of slurs, you're just using, you know, you're controlling your air in a manner that you can maintain the same speed of air, or you can, again, go from slower to faster and from faster to slower in a smooth transition. You're not having lots of leaps. You're able to play a line without making big jumps or changes in air like that. Flow studies are really great for developing lung strength. And again, just like in the mole exercise, a little control with our embouchure. So when it has this, and this is the specific line that I'm most proud of in all of Winds, and it's this this really, I think, beautiful and fun to play slur. It gets up a little bit rangy, but if you can supply the right air, then the notes come out and it sounds awesome. And in this case, you're doing it to turn other animals into lizards to join your cause, so it's also thematically pretty sweet. So that is the lizard cult, heard, seen, and felt. Thanks again for joining me in the element, listening to the music. Total honesty, I have just about as much written for 3 different factions coming up here. So I don't actually know definitively which one is going to be finished first and therefore be the next exercise, which is a first for me in this project. It's kind of exciting actually, but also a little bit, you know, nerve-wracking. So stay tuned. I'll see it next week. Who knows? By the time this posts, I might have already decided that, and it'll be in the link or the description down below saying next week, blah, blah, blah. I'll just tell you, it's otters, birds, Vagabond. Is that it? Oh no, I also have some stuff for Woodland Alliance. So it's a 4-way tie between the factions that exist already, which I am going to hold off on Marauder until we have a little bit more time. I mean, they're not even finalized yet. I'd love to add them into the mix. I have some ideas for them, but I don't want to pigeonhole them into a thematic, you know, construct before we've even seen the printed product. So yeah, the remaining 4, I have my fingers in all of those pies. So we'll see which one comes out first. And we will see you next time Bye, everybody.